Hey everybody, what's happening? Robert Phoenix here, broadcasting to you live from the Hill Country. I gotta fix my hair. Whatever. It's all good. At least it's there. Good morning. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another day in the unfolding theater of crisis and opportunity, known as this domain. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover today, and I'm just gonna wait for people to kind of, file on in, show up, hang out. I've got to try to rip through today's show because I have Ole Damagard at the top of the hour. I got to go do a live recording. Jennifer Fitzgerald, she's in. Stevie 33, what's happening, Stevie? Jimmers 333. We got a lot of threes in the house right there. 33 and triple three, back to back. What are the odds? Tamara Garth, good morning. Denise, the BB blog in the house. Check her out. She's got her own very cool channel on YouTube. Love BB's work. We've got, I hope I don't butcher your name. Is it Kane? Kane O'Brien? Welcome, Kane. Nice to see you here. Welcome to the show. Justice and Trish in the house. There is Joan W. And Mojo Mama. What's going on, Joe? Diana Young. Hi, Diana. Uncle Glenn in the house. Kristen Avalos. Hello. Good morning. Shirlo Shavo. Nicholas Grimm. Morning, Nicholas. Ian Barber in the house as well. Let's see who else. FUP77. Welcome. Good morning. Buenos dias. Chatlandia. Boy, could I get a strike for like impersonating an accent now? Oh, perfect. Good. I'm glad. Well, welcome to the show all the way from Ireland. On my mother's side, the maternal side, we are from Ireland. A place called County Cavan. I've never been there before, but my maternal grandmother was born there, and then actually grew up in Liverpool. They had a fish and chip shop in Liverpool. That's what they did. Renee F., good morning. Joe Dimitri in the house. Nice to see you, Joe. I'm from Cavan. Oh, come on now. You got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. I'm from Cavan. You have got to be kidding me. What are the freaking odds? I'm telling you right now, man, this is how life is going. This is just how life is going right now. I remember I was talking to you guys about this yesterday. Like, there's like really amazing shit taking place. Really, really amazing shit taking place. Swear to God. I mean, this is crazy, right? This is totally crazy. The sinks are just off the freaking chart. Off the chart. I'm loving this, man. Like, Babylon is burning, but, I swear to God, like, heaven within is like completely expanding. It's another affirmation of faith, right? Another affirmation of faith. Thank you for being here. What an awesome. I love it. Wait till I tell my mother. My mother will get a kick out. She doesn't watch my show, but she'll get a kick out. I'm seriously giddy about this. Okay, I got another great sing story before we start to uncoil everything. So you guys know that I told that story about the restaurant hotel, the Hotel Mac, and then I talked about that experience with my father. This was a couple of days ago, and then the waitress who, brought our stuff over and gave me the bill. All right, you ready for what's her Shipley is the Shipley, Shipley. Shipley is the surname from my. And then the other name in that family is Banta, Banta. Shipley and I don't know about Banta, Banta. Those are the two names that I know, Shipley and Banta. I think Banta is the one that goes back to County Cavan. So there you go. Hey, there's Ani. Good morning, Ani. Joan S. in the house. Rob Chopra. Okay, so check this out. All right, you guys got to hear this. So I told that story. Guess who was listening to the broadcast when I told that story? The waitress from the Hotel Mac story was listening. Now you're gonna say, "Oh, that's crazy." there's a little bit more, like I knew her pretty well. And I kind of got her into astrology a little bit. Very talented person, like super talented. Hi, Vivi. Good to see you. Super talented, by the way. Really, like so much talent. Like this, you could sing like Janis Joplin. I swear to God. Amazing. Anyway, so she got into astrology, and I lost touch with this person after I left Point Richmond. Like I haven't talked to her in like 8 years. But apparently she has been watching the show because she's been interested in astrology. Of course, we know each other, right? But she actually was listening the day that I talked about my father and the hotel and all that stuff. So she reached out. She's getting a reading, and she's super, super interested in astrology. And guys, just a really fantastic connection, right? Just like this is where we are. This is where we are right now. And the mainstream media will project a very different picture. And by the way, I don't want to deny that picture on some level. Like that's a reality to be very aware of. But there's another reality that's emergent. It's also really important to understand and wrap your head around because it's here. It's percolating. It's percolating. So even though, and I'll tell you, there's something. There are some things about what's going on that I think are in that external world that I think are interesting. Like that external world is kind of being destroyed. It's kind of and it's just a blanket effect of destruction. They're going after statues, next go after the churches, and I don't condone that, right? I don't condone it. But the idea that something is really happening at a deep level is very, very important. Is very important. And, I've talked about this before, and it relates back to, there's Jasper. He so wants to be a part of the show. He'll come back. Jasper will make his return as soon as I make this Jasper friendly. But, I've talked about the hijacking of certain moments of time. And I've linked that to the Saturn cycles in Aquarius. We've gone through that. The last Saturn cycle in Aquarius, when they started the first Gulf War, right? Coalition of the willing. Remember all the nations got together to go beat up Saddam Hussein. That was a global event. And that's when George Bush breaks out this idea of the New World Order. That's when people first start to hear about it. The Saturn cycle before that was with JFK and Camelot and the whole 9 yards, and boom, he's taken out, and we're taken on to a different timeline. So here we are again, the Saturn cycle. And what are they doing? They're hijacking it, right? They know it. They know this. They know this stuff. They know that there are these cycles where there's this intersection between awakening and domination. It's kind of like that movie Dark City, where everything changes, like the city changes, the people are in different positions, all that stuff. You should watch Dark City. It came out right around the same time as The Matrix. It's a brilliant film. It's an absolutely brilliant film, and it speaks to a lot of kind of what we're going through, and we wake up in a new trance, or the things that we know and have become familiar with are moved around or in different places. And when you factor in weird time stuff and the possibility of the Mandela effect, all of a sudden now it goes next level, right? It goes completely next level. So I highly recommend watching Dark City because it actually has a really good ending too. It's got a great ending. I love the ending of Dark City. And there's some really good actors in it. William Hurt is in it. Rupert, what's his name? I forget his last name. Who I like. I think he's a good actor. Jennifer Connelly's in it. Kiefer Sutherland's. It's good. It's a good flick. It's a good flick. And the people, the beings that are basically the architects of kind of reinventing reality on a daily basis, they're so creepy. They're so creepy. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, looks like one of those guys. I hate to say it, but it's true. It's absolutely true. So, here we are. I mean, we are in a time where like the transformation is on. It's on. It is undeniable, and it will not be denied. It will not be denied. It will have its opportunity to manifest in us, through us. And you see, this is interesting. When Gil Scott-Heron said, the revolution will not be televised. And I've written about this, and I said, well, Gil Scott-Heron is wrong because the revolution will be televised, and we We got the revolution 24/7 about a week ago, right? But the real revolution will not be televised. The real revolution will not be televised because there is a real revolution versus the synthetic revolution, the astroturfed revolution that's being ginned up by the social Marxists, right? And the people that are behind them, which want to basically roll out Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and this new idea of a new society, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, but I won't spend a lot of time today because I got a lot of ground to cover. All right, let's get into this, right? Let's get into this now. Dear blessed and holy Father, Mother God of the great central sun, within universal light, which is the light of Yeshua, Son of Emmanuel, we give great thanks for this day, this very day. And we ask that only the highest and best truth, information, and wisdom come through this channel at this particular time. And we ask also for faith, love, courage, strength, gratitude, empathy, and humor as we move through this time. How about a little intelligence too? And if we have any karmic residue with one another, may be clarified, purified, cleansed, and removed so that we may re-enter our experience as sovereign entities. So be it. Okay, mods in Chatlandia, get on it today. We had some interesting creepers at the end of yesterday's show. And by the way, if anybody, I'm looking for another mod for Chatlandia. So if you're here on a consistent basis and you want to be a mod, you can email me because I'm looking to up the mods. All right, just a little quick housekeeping. There are people that I like to talk about and support. I'm a big fan of Clyde Lewis. Big fan. I've been on Clyde's show about 4 or 5 times. I hope to be back on Clyde's show sometime in the future. I think Clyde is underrated, vastly underrated. And he has moved onto his own platform because this is where these things are going. So you can subscribe to Clyde's show and get his broadcasts and everything. And I'm going to do it. I may not listen to him every night, but I will subscribe. I do want to support him. And, you know, we do need to support each other during these times as they rip away our ability to be creative and rip away our ability to share information at a higher level. It's very important, very important. So with that, I'm going to make a transition to another person who I really admire and respect. And whenever I bring him up, you know, he's going to push buttons. But the reason why he pushes buttons is because primarily he's right. I've never found anything that E. Michael Jones has said to be untruthful. And I will say Michael Jones, and you may not like his message. You may think it's limiting or unloving or anything like, but I don't think that that's true, by the way. I don't think that that's true. That's my experience. And he's had such a profound influence on people who are awakening to this idea of Logos. And I am not a Catholic. I don't go to church. I've had E. Michael on my show, Professor Jones on my show 3 times. And he's no dummy. He knows what I do. He knows that I work through the astrological world and look at patterns and symbols and all that other stuff. And he's still on my show, okay? I mean, I think that says a lot because I've had so-called Christian people who've run away from my show, wouldn't want to be on my show. So to that end and to that extent, I do fully support Michael's work. So he just recently got banned from Amazon, which means you cannot get any of his books now on Amazon. You can get them directly from Michael, which is probably better. So instead of me talking about it, I'm going to play the video. It's 8 minutes long. It's worth watching because of the message. And there's a very interesting testimonial that comes through. So let's get this rolling. I've got it all lined up, and I put a message on his YouTube page that I would play this today. So I'm going to do it. By the way, my Amazon Prime subscription comes up on July 7th, and I will not be renewing it. That's just me. I'm learning to live without Amazon Prime, and it's not going to be that hard. I can tell you that right now. All right, let's jam on this. Here we go. All right, so banned, E. Michael Jones books removed. Let me unmute this thing. Let's get going.
After 11 years of promoting all of my books, including the Jewish Revolutionary Spirit, Amazon, without notice or warning, removed them from our seller account. That move was preceded by the removal of all of my ebooks from my Amazon Kindle account 1 week earlier. And why was my Amazon Kindle account taken down? Because we tried to publish an ebook entitled Nazi Hunters and Their Catholic Proxy Warriors, which was a review of a series produced by, you guessed it, Amazon Prime. Their series Hunters got to promote not only the vilest sort of bigotry and hatred, it also advocated violence against any non-Jew that the main character, portrayed by Al Pacino, considered a Nazi. At this point, the Nazi hunters became judge, jury, and executioner, and Al Pacino sanctified their behavior by saying, "It's not murder, it's mitzvah."
This is not murder, this is mitzvah.
Now Amazon Prime is at it again, promoting revenge porn, this time against white people in the wake of the George Floyd riots. Amazon, in other words, can promote not only ethnic and racial hatred, but violence against groups they don't like, and no one is allowed to object. Objectors to racism will be punished. Amazon can sell Blue Lives Murder t-shirts promoting violence against the police because it is so big, rich, and powerful that no one can stop them from doing anything they want. My point is simple. When the rich and powerful promote hatred and violence, it's known as racial or social justice. When those who are neither rich nor powerful object, it's known as hate speech, and they are banned from social media. If you Google my name, the first thing the Google algorithm will tell you about me is that I'm an anti-Semite. Once that happens, you are immediately guilty and deprived of any right to state your case, which is what I tried to do in the Jewish Revolutionary Spirit. That book has been on Amazon for years, garnering a long list of 5-star reviews, and no one has been able to refute what I said, which is why that book must be banned. Those who have heard me out, like this fanatical atheist from England, have a different point of view. He wrote,
I sent you an email back in February saying I was agnostic and looking to find God, and you sent me back the cosmological proof for his existence. At the time, I did not quite get it, but I thought I would send an email to let you know that I did eventually, and now I know that God exists. It was after watching the How Evolution Produced the New Atheism video with you and Peter Helland that it finally clicked. So thanks a lot. It is such a great thing to realize, and it has added so much meaning to my life. I have definitely got a long way to go spiritually, but at least knowing the logical part of my mind helps a lot. Of course, because of COVID, it is not all that easy to talk with the right people about spirituality, so I guessed I picked the wrong time to have my religious awakening. The fact that you got through to someone like me, who not long ago was a fanatical atheist and was raised by very liberal atheist parents, just goes to show how meaningful what you are talking about really is. So please keep up the good work, because it is really awesome. You have certainly changed my life and outlook on the world away from materialism, which is fantastic. I'm going to have to get hold of some of your books soon as well.
The fact that this formerly fanatical atheist can't order my books on Amazon does not mean that those books are no longer available. All of my books are still available at fidelitypress.org, and we are working on a solution to make my ebooks available again as well. Every month, a new issue of Culture Wars magazine rolls off the press. As I said when I was first targeted by the ADL, we need to establish independent channels of communication, because what we're dealing with here is psychological warfare, whose goal has always been prohibiting unauthorized speech among subject peoples. When I mentioned that I'd gotten banned to a friend, she responded by saying, God doesn't need Amazon to spread the word. She is right, of course. Word is the English word for logos, and to cite the most obvious example of the truth of what she said, Logos Rising, A History of Ultimate Reality, has been selling better than any other book I have written. in spite of the fact that we deliberately withheld it from sale on Amazon. Amazon has been helpful in getting the word out for the past 10 years, but it has become a mixed blessing at best. It has become a ruthless exploiter of producers and suppliers, giving full refunds even after the product has been delivered, cheating us out of the cost of the book and postage. Their arrogance is the sort of thing you can expect from a man who is still the world's third richest man, even after losing half his wealth in a divorce settlement. People like this should not have a monopoly on the book trade. Organizations like the ADL, which put pressure on Amazon, should not have veto power over who gets to engage in discourse. But that is the current state of affairs as our country plunges headlong to its revolutionary denouement. Chaos has bred a desire for logos. Logos continues to rise at culturewars.com. I got the word that Amazon had deleted all of my books on Saturday, June 20th. One day later, at Mass on Sunday, June 21st, I heard these words, as if in answer not only to my prayer, but to the prayers of all of those who have been trodden underfoot by the rich and powerful, as anarchy now spreads across our land. I hear so many disparaging me, terror on every side. Denounce him. Let us denounce him. All those who used to be my friends watch for my downfall. Perhaps he will be seduced into error. Then we will master him and take our revenge. But Yahweh is at my side, a mighty hero. My opponents will stumble, mastered, confounded by their failure. Everlasting, unforgettable disgrace will be theirs. But you, Yahweh Sabaoth, you probe with justice, who scrutinize the loins and the heart. Let me see the vengeance you will take on them, for I have committed my cause to you. Nothing has changed since Jeremiah spoke those words. The brief window which allowed freedom of expression in public life in America has been closed by those who promote pornography and hate speech in its name. God allows the wicked to triumph for a time, but in the end, it is the opponents of Logos who will stumble, confounded by their failure, as long as we remain faithful to its author, the Father of the Logos incarnate. Don't give up hope. Keep spreading the message by liking this video, subscribing to Culture Wars magazine, and most importantly, let everyone know that my books are still available at fidelitypress.org.
So you may not fully buy into what Michael has to say. You may object to certain words. When he brings up the word Yahweh, I'm not a fan. I'm just going to be straight up, right? I'm not a fan. That's kind of a trigger point for me, but I can get past that. Because I understand the message. And I think what's really important here is the idea of this so-called free speech thing. So whether or not you fully buy into or believe or can anchor this idea of logos running through our lives, at the very least, you can understand that free speech allows us to either defend ideas, promote ideas, share ideas, disassemble ideas. This is what free speech does. And when we end that, it's really all over, and we are a whisker away from that. We're so close. In fact, I would probably say it's almost over at this point. Technically, we may have some, or legally, we may have some grounds and bounds. But you can say what you want, but they'll deplatform you, or they'll take away your stream or whatever. So again, even if you don't agree with him, or you got a different idea, at the very least you can understand that there's a principle that Michael is fighting for, and a lot of others as well. So what is spirit? What is logos? What is spirit? It's the breath. It is the breath, right? Because if we have the word, we have to have the breath, which pushes the word. So everything begins with the first breath. Breath is important. Breath contains what we call pneuma. Pneuma being the sort of etheric version of mana, right? So if we are wearing masks, what are we doing? We're limiting our relationship to spirit. It's exactly what we're doing. We're limiting our relationship to pneuma, the life-giving force that everything on this planet really has to have circulating through the entirety of their organism. Now, some people will say, well, gee, it's a small price to pay for the safety of others. Okay, I'm going to play you a video. And I'm going to play you, it's a very short video. And it's going to show you, and I'm going to try, and by the way, I'm going to try to download this thing as soon as possible and get it up on BitChute. That's part of my program or goal for today. This video needs to be shared. This is a video that if you have an issue with people that have issues with masks and they have a crack, a scintilla of consciousness, they will respond to this video. Why? Because this video is rooted in, guess what? It's rooted in science. It's a scientific look at, guess what? The lack of oxygen that comes into your body. So without any further description here, let me play. It's 2 minutes long. It's so simple. It's so brilliant. It'll blow your mind. It's an affirmation, and an affirmation that you need to share. Okay. Now, again, YouTube has some very strict kinds of guidelines around this stuff. And what the creator, the producer of this video is going to share with you is simply something that is scientifically based. All right, let's go. Let's roll this thing.
Getting headaches and stuff from wearing a mask that they're requiring us to wear pretty much everywhere we go. And I'm going to test oxygen level under a mask using an OSHA approved air quality monitor that tests for oxygen levels, hazardous gas levels, LEL, CO, NH3, H2S, stuff like that. This monitor's bump tested every day. It's calibrated every 30 days. OSHA requires 19.5% oxygen to work in a space. Look it up. Normal oxygen levels is anywhere from 20 to 21, right in that area. So I'm gonna do a little test here. I'm gonna put the sampling tube at the corner of my mouth, and I'm not exerted. I'm just standing here. So we're gonna put it right here. That's going straight to the air quality monitor. And we'll see what the oxygen level is. So I've got 20.5, okay, 20.6. That is the oxygen level without the mask. Now I'm going to set the camera down, put a mask on. Okay. Do the same test, hose in the same spot. You can hear the alarm going off. That means that there is a hazardous atmosphere. And we'll see what the levels are. 17.4. 17.5. It's starting to go back up. Okay. It's going to clear at 19.5. And that's what is required to work in a space. So you're wondering about headaches and stuff like that, there's why, because you're not getting enough oxygen. If you're exerted, working, running, whatever the case may be, it's only going to get worse from there. So, it is what it is. You're not going to see this on the news because they don't want you to know this on the news. So take it for what it's worth.
Take it for what it's worth. There you go. There's your empirical. There's your empirical evidence, your empirical data that I will put the link to the video. There's your empirical evidence, empirical data that masks are dangerous. They're dangerous. Your oxygen level drops below the OSHA prescribed level of oxygen to work in a space. By subjecting people or your friends or even your family to wear a mask. In my view, you are committing a crime against the spirit and the body. You may not be committing a local or state or national crime, whatever, but this is definitely a violation. And then we bring it back to this idea that it's not just oxygen, right? It's not just oxygen. We're talking about an electrically charged atmosphere, a spiritually charged conductor, right? Pneuma, the breath that inspires logos. Think about that. Wrap your head around that for a minute. This is very, very important. The mask experience is denying people full access to spirit. You think that that's accidental? Nope. Looks like Europe has decided that they are done with the United States. They're done with Donald Trump. They're moving towards the World Economic Forum reset model. If you are an American and you are looking at not being able to travel to Europe, Europe's going to close their borders to Americans. The EU countries. Like that is like on the plate right now. This is how serious this stuff is getting. And people say to me, well, what about tourism? What about tourism? Doesn't Europe like really, depend on and need tourism? It's over. It's done. It's done. Like they're saying, no, we don't need tourism. We don't need you to come to Europe. We don't need you to spend your money in Europe. And the reason why is because they know that model, that era is over for them. And I was listening to Tim Pool. Emily sent me one of Tim Pool's latest videos. Basically, at the end of the video, he gets really pissed off and says, we gotta stand up. We gotta stand up. We can't be bullied. And he was actually channeling some real emotion, and good for him. But they were also talking about why these corporations are donating all this money to BLM and basically they're saying, well, it's a virtue signal. And they don't want to be like outed for being racist, right? And I think that there's some truth to that. There's some truth to that because that model, I mean, if you really think about it, you watch what happens on the streets, man. That's like heavy shit. They're rioting, they're looting, they're not protesting. This is the truth. It's the fact. And it's an old scheme. It's an old scam. The mafia used to do it. They'd go in and they'd bust up your windows and they'd steal shit. And a day later, a guy would come in and say, hey, it was really awful. You must have lost some money there. We can help you. All you got to do is pay us a little money. We'll make sure that those people don't ever do that again. Right. I mean, there's some level of that there. It's called an extortion racket, by the way. But really the big message is what they're saying is we don't need our customer base anymore. We don't need our customer base. Our customer base helped build these businesses. Our customer base may have theoretically the most money, the most available finances than any other demographic. And I'm really talking about the baby boomers. But we don't need that customer base because moving forward, they're not going to be our customer base. We're going to have a new customer base, and we want to make sure that we're in good with that customer base. So when they get their universal basic income, they'll continue to buy our products. So it is a virtue signal. It is a pledge of allegiance, and it's also a very, very hard shift to a very different economic model based on a very different demographic. And once people understand this, once these people that are in the media or alternative media, and they talk about this, and once they understand this, we're getting closer to understanding the emergent reality. But until you understand that, until you really understand that, you can dance around it, you can kind of get close to it, but you won't get really right to the source of it. And the source of it is this massive global reset. Massive global reset. And I'm going to tell you, ultimately, if they're doing that to their customer base, like look at even NASCAR. I'm going to get into some NASCAR here in a second. Look at NASCAR. I remember back in the early 2000s, like NASCAR was so popular, so popular. If you were watching a sports channel, you could not get away from NASCAR. I was like blowing my mind. And I am not a NASCAR fan. I don't like watching people drive around in circles for 250 laps. It bores the shit out of me. Now, Formula One stuff, old school Formula One, open wheel racing through cities and stuff, I'm down with that, which they don't really do anymore. Only Monaco and I think one other city. I'm down with that. I loved that stuff when I was a kid, but NASCAR bored the shit out of me. But they promoted the hell out of NASCAR because that was part of the program. The what I call the fakeriotism. The fakeriotism. You're either with us or against us. So they pumped up NASCAR. Pumped it up big time. Big. They also pumped up the mega churches too during that period. It was all part of the plan. It's we're gonna go full patriot on steroids, the fakery on steroids. Anyway, NASCAR now is doing what everybody else is doing, and they're basically saying, hey, look, that model's over. And this is theoretically one of the more ingrained American institutions. I did a little bit of digging on NASCAR, not a lot, just cursory. And maybe Elaine can look into this, who's the brilliant genealogist. But if you look at the people that started NASCAR, it's the France family, France. And in the father and the son, I think Bill France started NASCAR, and his son is the president of NASCAR. The son's middle name is Getty. It's like, oh, really? Isn't that interesting? There's a Getty showing up inside of NASCAR. Not surprising. And then you go back further into their lineage, there's a Penn, like in William Penn. So NASCAR might come out of these blue blood roots, even though it's, positioned as a kind of rebel sort of American pastime, celebrating the transition from whiskey and moonshiners onto a flat track. All right, let me get into Bubba Wallace. Oh, God. I call Bubba Wallace double Bubba. Double Bubba, because he's doubling down. Bubba Wallace is doubling down. And NASCAR is doubling down with him, by the way. This should get real interesting. Here we go. If you guys have not been following this, very quickly, right after the so-called protests were ignited, Bubba Wallace, who is he's mixed. Bubba Wallace is mixed. His father happens to be a so-called white Caucasian, and his mother supposedly so-called black African American woman. All right, so there you go. There's Bubba's roots. He's a Libra. He's a good-looking dude. I mean, he's a good-looking, rugged dude. Like this guy could totally be an icon for NASCAR. Totally. But as soon as the Black Lives Matter stuff and the protests happened, he just said, I'm going to have a Black Lives Matter car. Now, that's fine. If you want to do that, I mean, hey, look, if you're NASCAR, you want to support that, that's fine. You don't have to support NASCAR. You don't have to support anybody. Will Amazon miss me? No, Amazon won't miss me. But I'll feel just a little bit better about not supporting them. So here we go. The whole idea here was that they found a noose, supposedly a noose, Well, they sent 15 FBI agents. Tucker Carlson talked about this last night. 15 FBI agents. And the FBI says it was there since last year. So we have the Jesse Smollett of the racing world. And I'll show you the pictures. I can't breathe. There he is. He's all geared up. I can't breathe. 43. That's his number. That was the Bush's number. He was 43, wasn't he? Obama 44, Trump 45. I got to show you here. Maybe I can play this. Let's see what happens. I just want to show. I'm not looking for the actual audio. Okay, so he says to news culprit, "You're not going to take away my smile." Oh, okay. All right. See, look at this guy. I mean, look, he's a good-looking dude, man. I mean, this guy could be a freaking icon for NASCAR. He could be an icon. But instead, he's just going to pander to the social and racial politics of our time. It's almost like he's an NPC. It's another NPC just kind of chanting sort of the party line. Let me read this. A statement by U.S. Attorney J.E. Towns said an investigation has concluded that no federal crime was committed. The FBI learned that garage number 4, where the noose was found, was assigned to Bubba Wallace last week. The investigation also revealed evidence, including authentic video confirmed by NASCAR, that the noose found in garage number 4 was in that garage as early as October 2019. Basically, it is a thing that they use to pull down the damn door. Although the noose is now known to have been in garage number 429, nobody could have known Mr. Wallace would be assigned to garage number 4 last week. Oh, just so happened that rope was there. The FBI has completed its investigation at Talladega Superspeedway and determined that Bubba Wallace was not the target of a hate crime. NASCAR said in a release after the findings, the FBI report concludes and photographic evidence confirms the garage door pull rope fashioned like a noose had positioned there since as early as last fall. Wallace, the only full-time African-American driver on the circuit, had become a target for some critics of NASCAR in recent weeks as the face of the series' response to the current social justice movement taking place across the country and its decision to ban the Confederate flag from its events. The entire NASCAR family showed its support for him in the wake of the discovery of the noose, with all his fellow drivers and their crews standing behind him in pit lane, the Geico 500. There they are. There they are. An army of useful idiots. NASCAR President Steve Phelps. I wonder if this is the same Steve Phelps that was the general manager for the New York Mets. Said during a news conference call on Tuesday that he'd been disturbed to think a member of NASCAR was behind such an act. But it was fantastic to hear from the FBI definitively that there was not a hate crime. But, and Phelps said NASCAR's continue its own investigation. Wallace did not immediately comment on the result of the FBI investigation, but he's doubling down now, right? So Bubba Wallace is doubling down. That's what's happening. He's defiant. He says he calls rope straight up news after FBI says no crime occurred. Oh, here we go. So it's Bubba Wallace versus the FBI. He's doubling down. Well, you know what happens when you double down. Doubling down is like, it's like that Dave Chappelle skit when keeping it real goes wrong. So Bubba Wallace is losing more and more credibility with every single moment and every single day. And if he is supposedly NASCAR's face of this movement, and he's a spoke on the wheel of the movement, using a car and auto metaphor, then that's a broken spoke. That's a broken spoke. So how are people supposed to interpret this now? Like, maybe the best thing for Bubba Wallace to do would have been, wow, I'm really glad the FBI got to the bottom of this. Thank you, FBI. I'm so glad that NASCAR is not being targeted, and I'm grateful for the work that the FBI did. And this clearly shows that in this world we can work together. Like, wow, what a message that would be. What a message that would be. So number one, he saves a little face. He gets the FBI to save a little face. And he actually kind of makes his movement look a little bit better, right? Just, but instead of doing that, it's like double down. You keep doubling down. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to bust. And NASCAR may try to bully, or they may try to psychologically operate the people that watch the sport. But you know what? They're going to walk away. They're just going to look and say, this is bullshit. Even the last remaining sort of vestiges of watching people drive around in circles for 3 hours. This is going to look, this is bullshit. You're promoting a guy that's, ultimately not just a liar, right? Not a liar. But when you get to that level and the double down keeps happening, it is pathological, right? Now he's entering into the realm of like sociopathology. Clearly, he is entering into the realm of sociopathology. Now, the FBI isn't doing shit for anything else. And Tucker Carlson brought this up. They're doing shit for anything else. Like, they're not really going after and busting all these people that are defacing these statues or monuments. But man, they sent 15 people down to NASCAR to investigate the rope on the garage. If you see, it's a little tiny rope. The mayor of Oakland, Tucker is so on this. The mayor of Oakland, Libby Schaaf, did the same thing. I used to live in Oakland. I know Lake Merritt. I used to ride my bike around it. I used to run around it. These people put a swing up on a tree in Lake Merritt. Libby Schaaf said it was a noose. And they had some guys, some brothers saying, hey, this is our swing. We come here, we exercise it, we play with it. And it's you got to be kidding. You just got to be kidding. These people, they're using every opportunity they can to promote their political agenda, which is divisive and it's hateful. I don't care. It's just divisive and hateful. It's criminal. It's, in my estimation, it's actually criminal when they say, okay, we got a noose here. We got a noose. Well, I got news for you. That's not a noose. I should do my Italian. I got a noose for you. That's not a noose. Anyway, it's not. But they're ginning up hysteria, and people are so inflamed. And I watched Jamel Hill through Tucker, and she's like, NASCAR is very, very, has a lot of security, has a lot of this, has a lot of that. And if that's true, then what we're looking at here is an inside job. She's trying to inject this conspiracy thing. It's like, man, there's no conspiracy. It's a fucking garage rope that you pull down to close the garage. That's what it is. But he's going to double down. He's going to be double Bubba. Double down Bubba. And it's going to not end well for double down Bubba when keeping it real goes wrong. So, what happens if you are on the so-called left? If you're on the so-called side of the revolution, and the so-called side of the revolution, your side, your team, your radical homies, what happens when they find out that, ooh, maybe you've done a few bad things in your past? Maybe you've said a few words that might be considered racist. Well, Jimmy Kimmel is now finding out what happens when you're in that position. They're not going after Governor Blackface, but They are going after Jimmy Kimmel. Comedian Jimmy Kimmel flees Los Angeles. Let's get rid of her, whatever this person is, this non-entity. Comedian Jimmy Kimmel flees Los Angeles or a secret location to avoid race row after blackface skits and audio of him using the N-word to impersonate Snoop Dogg resurfaced. Okay. From 1996, he can be heard rapping, "Me and my inners down in the LBC, we'll smoke that Christmas tree." The track repeats the racial slur several times. In another skit, he impersonated Oprah Winfrey. On Tuesday, Kimmel finally apologized in a video message in which the skits were described as embarrassing. Kimmel previously resisted pressure to apologize for his own skits, but had to take himself off air for the summer. He and his family are currently holed up in a luxury condo outside of LA, which Kimmel claimed had been planned long before the race storm broke. Singer Nick Cannon repeatedly calling the comedian out on social media and inviting him to talk. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. This is what happens. He's in a secret location now. There he is with Snoop. Well, look, there's the New York Mets jersey. Steve Phelps. He's hanging out. He's keeping it real. So here he is. This is Jimmy as Oprah Winfrey and Jimmy as apparently a member of the Jams. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if you find this funny or not. He was impersonating Karl Malone. Like, that is like, that is so Marxist, retro Marxist, career killing material. Look, here's what I think. If the shit is funny, if it's funny, right? If it's funny, it's funny. If it's not funny, like I remember one time, I actually threw an event in Point Richmond one night. It was kind of like a cabaret event. I had comedians, musicians. So I had this comedian from San Francisco, very funny guy, very good guy. And he said, you can, this is then, not now. He said, you can say anything in comedy, but it better damn well be funny. Like, you can have a joke about the Holocaust, but it better be really funny. Because if it's not funny, then you're going to be fucked. So even comedy has kind of a litmus of truth in some ways. Like, you can touch on really, really, really sensitive subjects. But if somehow it's funny, it has its own sort of currency. And there's a phrase that stuck with me for a long time. And there was this guy, Robert Anthony Masters. I think that's his name. He wrote 2 books, which I highly recommend. One is called Love is Letting Go of Fear. And the other one is called The Way of the Lover. Really good stuff, like powerful stuff, really powerful stuff. And one of the phrases that really spoke to me was truth has its own morality. And I thought about that for a very, very long time. Truth has its own morality. It is not a subjective morality, though. Right? So when you think about a joke that is, or a skit or something that can be off color or considered to be sensitive, culturally sensitive, right? It better damn well be funny because there's a truth in there somewhere. And Dave Chappelle got away with that. Dave Chappelle crossed all those lines all the time. And most of the time it was very funny. And Dave Chappelle skewed everybody. He skewed whites, he skewed blacks, he skewed everybody. But it was funny most of the time. Not all the time. Most of the time it was really funny. Right? And I'm not giving Jimmy Kimmel a pass. And I'm certainly not saying, oh, hey, let's all go blackface or whatever. I'm certainly not saying that at all. Right? But there is something about if something is funny, really, really funny, that there's somehow an inherent kind of truthful morality that is working through it. And I'll never forget the words of that comic. You could tell a joke about the Holocaust, but it better damn well be funny. Okay, I got to get out of here. I got to get ready for Ola Damagard, which is really very close at the top of the hour. So I got to jam on this thing. And I'm not sure if there's anything else. There's plenty I want to share today, right? There's a lot I want to share, but I only have a limited amount of time. So everybody, thank you, right, for watching, listening, tuning in. If you want to subscribe, I'll have a link here. I'll put the link to that oxygen mask video, right? The oxygen mask video. So you can share that video. It's an important video. It's empirical data. People say they love science. There's your science. Here's your God right there. Here's your God confirming a different version of itself. All right. We'll be back tomorrow here on 15 Minutes of Flame. Stay strong. Have faith. Watch the synchronicities unfold. You know, we are living through absolutely revelatory, enlightening, and transformational times. And don't forget that. Do not forget that. Okay. Everything else out there is happening for a reason. And it's important to watch it, understand it, discern it, pay attention. And when we see things like what's happening with Bubba Wallace, we also understand that there's another reality underneath everything else. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay open what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. Be back here tomorrow. 15 Minutes of Flame. Mizuma ba for now. And don't forget to support the people who are continually risking a great deal to bring you truth and information. People like Clyde Lewis or people like Michael Jones, and these are good people, and other YouTube channels that really could use some good views, like my buddy Jimmy Brent, who has his own channel. He just interviewed Jay Widener last week. So even if you're not subscribing or giving your preciously earned income to somebody, you can still watch their channel. You can hit them with a like, all that stuff. Okay. All right. I'm out of here. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.